If you developed a fever 40,000 years ago, would anyone be able to save you? Don't assume it was just an ordinary fever like it is today. Back then, even a mild fever could leave you little chance of survival. Not after months, but in just a matter of days. The most frightening part was that no one knew why you became sick. No one understood bacteria, viruses, or even the immune system. Your tribe could only watch as your condition grew worse. They believed an unseen force was causing your suffering. The first person they called was never a doctor. Instead, they turned to the tribe's most trusted shaman. He carried no medicine, no needles, and no medical instruments. Instead, he brought herbs, animal bones, and ancient chants. It sounded more like a ritual than a medical treatment. Yet, surprisingly, many people actually recovered. Was it magic, or was something else happening? Modern science has revealed a surprising answer. Some of the plants they used truly contained healing compounds. In fact, a few of those remedies are still used today. But not every ancient treatment offered hope. Some methods sound almost unbelievable by today's standards. In some cultures, people created a small opening in the skull. They believed it allowed harmful spirits to leave the body. Remarkably, many patients still survived the procedure. Archaeologists have even found skulls that healed afterward. Elsewhere, wounds were treated using carefully applied heat. The pain was intense, but it sometimes helped stop severe bleeding. Some tribes covered open wounds with honey. They had no idea honey could slow the growth of bacteria. Others chewed willow bark before placing it on painful areas. They never knew it contained the natural precursor to aspirin. Most discoveries came through observation and experience alone. Every treatment was a gamble with someone's future. If it worked, the tribe remembered it. If it failed, they searched for another solution. Over thousands of years, medicine slowly evolved through trial and error. There were no textbooks, laboratories, or medical schools. Only knowledge passed from one generation to the next. That knowledge helped countless people recover. But it also taught painful lessons along the way. The line between hope and failure was incredibly thin. What makes this story even more remarkable is that they never stopped learning. They watched animals to discover which plants might be useful. They remembered every treatment that seemed to work, then passed those lessons on to the next generation. Over time, that knowledge spread from one tribe to another. These became the very first building blocks of human medicine. But among all those ancient remedies, which ones truly worked according to modern science? Which ones survived only because people believed in them? And which discoveries were centuries ahead of their time? Which methods brought hope? And which caused lasting harm? Today, we'll uncover the truth behind each of them. From the earliest medicinal plants to primitive surgery, from spiritual rituals to treatments supported by modern science. You'll discover that ancient medicine was far more sophisticated than most people imagine. Because sometimes history is even more astonishing than legend. And it all began with something as ordinary as a fever that changed humanity's understanding of illness forever, and marked the beginning of our search for the first true remedies. So let's travel back in time and uncover that incredible story together. If you believe the first people to heal the sick were doctors, you're about to discover a very different story. 40,000 years ago, doctors, hospitals, and medicine as we know them simply did not exist. Whenever someone became seriously ill, the entire tribe turned to one trusted figure for help. That person was the village shaman, respected as both a healer and a spiritual guide. Every family placed their hopes in him whenever illness spread through the camp. But how could someone with no scientific knowledge possibly help another person recover? The answer begins with the way ancient people understood sickness itself. They never thought illness started inside the human body the way we understand it today. Instead, many were convinced invisible forces were responsible for every unexplained illness. Some feared the gods were expressing anger toward the people. Others believed their ancestors were sending an important warning to the living. Certain tribes felt unseen spiritual forces had attached themselves to the suffering person. Because of those beliefs, healing became both a spiritual ritual and a practical tradition. The shaman often began by lighting a fire and preparing carefully selected medicinal herbs. He spoke ancient chants while surrounding the patient with smoke herbs and sacred objects. To the tribe, restoring spiritual balance was just as important as treating physical discomfort. At first, it may sound like nothing more than ancient superstition, but that explanation tells only part of an extraordinary story. Over countless generations, these healers began noticing remarkable patterns in nature. Certain leaves seemed to help wounds recover more successfully than others. Certain roots appeared to ease pain, even though nobody understood the reason. Even ordinary honey seemed to help damaged skin recover more consistently. They couldn't explain why those remedies worked, but they never forgot the results. Those observations slowly became humanity's earliest medical knowledge, built entirely through experience. And that was only the beginning of an incredible journey toward discovering the world's first medicines. But one profound mystery remains. How did ancient people discover which plants could actually help them recover? They had no laboratories, no microscopes, and absolutely no scientific understanding of chemistry or medicine. So where did humanity's very first remedies actually come from? The answer wasn't hidden inside books. It was hidden in the natural world around them. For thousands of years, nature became their greatest teacher and their only medical classroom. Every day, they carefully watched the forests, the rivers, and every animal living beside them. Sometimes those observations revealed something truly unexpected. Imagine watching a wounded deer disappear quietly into the forest after escaping a dangerous predator. Instead of simply resting, the animal repeatedly rubbed its injured leg against the very same plant. Several days later, the wound appeared cleaner, and the deer seemed surprisingly healthy once again. Hunters remembered what they had witnessed and decided to try the same plant themselves. Sometimes the results were disappointing, but occasionally they worked far better than anyone expected. Those rare successes became knowledge that every generation carefully protected and passed forward. No one wrote those lessons down because writing had not yet been invented. Instead, every lesson survived through stories, memory, and countless years of shared experience. Ancient people also learned by paying close attention to their own bodies. Whenever a particular leaf eased pain, they remembered exactly where they had found it. Whenever another plant caused serious illness, the entire tribe learned never to touch it again. It was an incredibly slow process, built entirely on observation, patience, and endless trial and error. Among those discoveries, one simple remedy appeared again and again throughout human history. That remedy was honey collected from wild beehives hidden deep inside ancient forests. People gently covered damaged skin with honey because they noticed it often healed more successfully. They couldn't explain the reason, but they trusted what years of experience had shown them. Another remarkable discovery came from the bark of the willow tree growing beside rivers and lakes. People chewed the bitter bark whenever pain or fever became difficult to endure. Thousands of years later, scientists discovered it contained salicin, the natural compound behind modern aspirin. Without realizing it, ancient people had uncovered one of history's most important natural medicines. But not every treatment they discovered was as gentle or as safe as honey or willow bark. Some methods were so extraordinary that even today they continue to amaze archaeologists and medical historians. One of those ancient procedures would become one of the most mysterious chapters in medical history. Not every ancient remedy came from herbs, honey, or the careful observation of nature over generations. Some treatments were so extraordinary that they still leave archaeologists searching for answers even today. One remarkable example involved creating a carefully controlled opening in the human skull. Today, researchers know this ancient procedure as trepanation. Evidence of trepanation has been discovered across Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Americas. That suggests different civilizations developed surprisingly similar ideas without ever meeting one another. No one knows exactly how the practice first began thousands of years ago. Some communities believed it could release the unseen force causing a person's illness. Others believed it relieved intense pressure or persistent pain inside the head. To us, the procedure seems almost unimaginable. Yet archaeological discoveries have revealed something that surprised researchers around the world. Many ancient skulls show clear signs that new bone formed after the procedure. That means a surprising number of people recovered and continued living for many years afterward. Without modern surgical tools, achieving that result seems almost unbelievable. Trepanation was only one chapter in the long story of ancient healing. In many cultures, severe wounds were also treated using carefully controlled heat. The goal was simple: reduce bleeding before the person's condition became even more serious. Although incredibly painful, the method occasionally gave someone another chance to recover. Long before antibiotics, infection remained one of humanity's greatest dangers. Even a small, untreated wound could quickly become a life-threatening problem. Ancient healers had very few options once a wound became severely infected. Sometimes they removed the damaged tissue in hopes of preventing the condition from spreading further. Every decision demanded both experience and extraordinary courage from everyone involved. Some patients recovered, while others taught difficult lessons that shaped future generations of healers. Little by little, every success and every failure added to humanity's growing medical knowledge. Those experiences slowly transformed ancient traditions into practical methods that people continued improving over time. But perhaps the greatest surprise was still waiting to be discovered. What if some of those ancient remedies were actually supported by modern scientific research? The answer is far more surprising than most people would ever expect, because a few ancient discoveries continue to influence medicine even in our own time. For thousands of years, ancient healers relied only on experience, careful observation, and an incredible amount of patience. They couldn't explain why certain remedies worked, but they remembered every successful result with remarkable accuracy. Centuries later, science began uncovering the hidden reasons behind many of those ancient discoveries. One of the best examples comes from something surprisingly simple: honey. Ancient healers gently covered damaged skin with honey because they noticed it often healed more successfully. They never understood the reason, yet generation after generation continued trusting the same natural remedy. Modern research eventually revealed that honey naturally slows the growth of many harmful bacteria. It also creates an environment that allows damaged skin to recover more effectively. Another remarkable discovery was hidden inside the bark of the willow tree. Whenever fever or pain became difficult to endure, people often chewed its bitter bark. They had no idea a powerful natural compound was quietly working inside the plant. Thousands of years later, researchers identified that compound as salicin. It eventually inspired the development of aspirin, one of history's most widely used medicines. But healing wasn't only about finding the right plants. Ancient communities gradually noticed that clean wounds recovered far more often than untreated ones. Many cultures carefully washed injuries using clean water, vinegar, or naturally fermented liquids whenever they could. They had never heard of bacteria, yet experience showed them that cleanliness truly mattered. Little by little, practical knowledge replaced simple guesswork. Every successful treatment became another lesson shared with the next generation of healers. Every unsuccessful attempt encouraged them to search for a better solution instead. Without realizing it, they were building the earliest foundation of medical science. The greatest discoveries rarely appeared all at once. They emerged slowly through thousands of years of observation, patience, and unforgettable human experience. Many of those ancient lessons continue influencing medicine in ways most people never even notice. And perhaps the most remarkable lesson of all was still waiting to be revealed. So let's return to the question we asked at the very beginning of this journey. If you had developed a fever 40,000 years ago, could anyone really have helped you? The answer is yes. But nothing about it would have been certain. Your future would depend entirely on the wisdom your tribe had gathered through countless generations. Some remedies genuinely gave people a better chance to recover. Others survived only because no one had discovered a better alternative. Yet every attempt, whether successful or not, revealed something new about the human body. Little by little, those discoveries accumulated across thousands of years of human history. Each generation inherited more knowledge than the one before it. And without realizing it, they were laying the foundations for everything that followed. Modern medicine didn't appear overnight, and it certainly didn't begin inside a laboratory. It began with ordinary people trying to understand extraordinary challenges using only the world around them. And without realizing it, they were laying the foundations for everything that followed. The hospitals we visit today exist because countless generations refused to stop searching for better answers. Behind every treatment lies a story that stretches back thousands of years into our distant past. And perhaps that's the greatest lesson ancient medicine has left behind. Progress doesn't happen through a single discovery, but through thousands of small steps taken over generations. Which ancient medical practice surprised you the most, and would you have trusted it yourself? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to read them. And if you enjoy exploring history, archaeology, and humanity's greatest discoveries, be sure to subscribe and join us in the next adventure.